Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. So happy to have you joining me today. We're going to get right into the topic of the video, which is understanding the Jezebel spirit and what to look for. Now, there is a lot to be said about people that are dealing with lower vibrational energies. And I just went through a huge lesson about attraction and what to do when you're feeling attracted. And I grew up very kind of Christian Pentecostal. And so I wasn't scared of my attraction. But what I will say is that I have an understanding of the Bible and spiritual warfare. And it definitely affects how I do my readings. I work with angels, and it affects the way that I live my life. So there's a principal way that I kind of go about things. And so my test, because my divine counterpart and I share an energy where both of our sacral chakras were either overactive or underactive at any given time. For her in the last few years, very overactive. And one of the things that came through too was we both have parents that crossed over around the same time in our life. That was how we trauma bonded. That was how we kind of emotionally connected. Okay. So that was one of the things. Our parents recently they didn't reincarnate, but they made themselves known spiritually for both of us to work out some of our deeper issues. For me, she was my father. I had spent a lot of time running from men and thinking that if I could do that, I could escape my father. But oh my God, I was with him the whole time. Silent treatment, triangulation, competition, a poverty lack mentality. My father ended up being very wealthy and self-made, and I pray the same for this counterpart that I had, but he never ever fixed himself emotionally. He was broken till the day he died. What I will tell you is that in my case, she got to act out some mother stuff with me, especially in the last couple years, which was interesting. Kind of the petulant teenager pushing away the mother because the mom's not cool anymore. The new friends are cool. All the normal stuff that we do when we self-identify. Because her mother passed before she was able to do that, she was not able to. Her mother has come through to me several times. Not often, but enough times for me to understand. And she came through. 222 was that timestamp. This is definitely about divine partnership. Even though we are no longer in the physical plane going to ever be connected, we did have a divine partnership to heal this, and thank you, angels, for that confirmation. So her mother came through to me and told me about 6 months before all of this really blew up, she said to me, I want you to tell her that I have passed along my gift to her. And that was a generational curse. My dad passed along generational curses to me too. Okay. So I'm not just saying her mother is bad. What I'm saying is her mother said to me, tell her she will be just as sexy as I was, just as attractive. Men loved her mother. She was very beautiful, and people were always saving and rescuing her. And she was saving and rescuing herself, and she got herself into jams because of the men that she loved. And I think it greatly affected my counterpart, just like my relationship with my dad greatly affected how I interacted with other people that I dated later. So she had a lot of mom stuff, and I reintegrated her with her mom. Her mom came to me years ago and kind of had me reintroduce them because she was shut down about her mom because of her own issues and hatred about her life. Now, what I will say is that doesn't mean she didn't love her mother. Life is complicated. 333 Ascended Masters. Thank you. She absolutely loved her mother, and our angels and ancestors are here to assist us. In the ending of this relationship, my father came in and pointed out to me specifically who she was and was dead serious, like get away, and was pissed. When my dad was pissed, I was terrified. I'm scared for her and her karma and the things that will come after this, because when my ancestors get involved, it's a whole nother level. This was something I've never experienced before, and they did not like the way she was treating me, and I don't even know the full of it. They're like, if you only knew the truth, right? But her mother came in and gave me a heads up and said, tell her that I'm passing along essentially what is a Jezebel spirit, because that was how her mother was able to maneuver through the world and survive. You have to think of her mother at that time when she was a woman. Women did not carry much currency, and still we're fighting for equality, so you can understand that. And what I get here is that was her currency. That was me processing it so that I would understand how to not be in my head about this connection for the rest of my life. But that was it. So instead of my friend kind of working through it and being like, I need to balance it, it's essentially a superpower. It means that she'll be super attractive to people, but she used it for power because she was living in covert narcissism and was triggered by a partner that she chose that was a malignant narcissist. So then they became just a mutation of terrible. And it was something to see. But that on top of a normal, or not normal, that on top of the generational curse that was already coursing through her veins, that her mom was like, break the curse. That's what we're all here to do. We're all here to kind of like break the past cycles of our family structure so that we can live a free life and actually move forward and be who we're supposed to be. But she heard it and was like, do. Girl, it was like she had a baton. She was twirling. She was like, yes, I'm magical now. Yes, here's my powers. Woo! And she overcorrected, and she didn't even try to like behave herself. All she was worried about, I don't even know how this card just popped out, I didn't even plan this, was this, but not in a healthy way. It was like, who can I connect with, because I want to suck energy out of them, and I figured out I have this magic power and I'm going to use it. So that's a Jezebel spirit. That was my experience that caused me to really research to understand. It also meant that she would throw herself at me repeatedly anytime we were by ourselves, even though we were supposed to just be friends, right? My angels had told me not to share sexual energy with her because we had a mission. So every time she had a little bit of liquor, it was on and popping, and then I had to fight. Before I had to fight, though, I would call prayer warriors. So whenever I would see her, I was always having intercessor prayer warriors pray for me. Not because she was gay. I am bisexual. Okay, I can't essentially say, I would imagine she's bisexual too. I won't speak for her in that regard, but I am bisexual. What I will say is because I knew that we had a spiritual mission. I'm not God. This is what's so hilarious about how this worked out. Because this is just, I'm like, really, this is my test, y'all? But this was my test. This really was my test. I have a video here talking about how it was a test. So I was very attracted. I'm going to be honest about that. Didn't understand it. And it was because I needed to break through my own dad's Jezebel energy. He too had a Jezebel spirit. I'm pointing to his picture. I'm like, Dad, we're talking about you today. I'm going to heal this up. I'm not going another lifetime. I'm not going another round. There's going to be no new friends, no new lovers that have that energy. I am clearing this right now. Amen. Okay, so what you need to know is that the Jezebel spirit is not a demon spirit solely associated or assigned to women. Now, that word demon can trigger some people, especially in the metaphysical realm, but what it is about is lower vibration and lower attachments. When I was up in Alabama, the last time I saw her, I heard the manifestation of demonic energy. That's because that's what I understand. That's because I grew up in Pentecostal churches. I have seen live exorcisms. I believe that is real. I know that spiritual warfare is real. That's one thing you cannot convince me. Everybody that doesn't believe in heaven or hell or the devil, that's fine. That's fine. We can all get really persnickety about the details of that. But higher vibration and lower vibration, I don't think there's any disputing. I think we see evidence of it every day. So, and when you're in addiction and then you're in a toxic relationship, she did all of it. It was like, she was like, how low can you go? How low can you go? She was just like ripping through everything because she needed to be fed. See, when you make a deal with the devil, this is essentially the energy of like making a deal with lower vibrational energy, demonic energy minions. They're very real. The devil is bound. It's very much, I was listening to Daisy, the professional high priestess, talk about this. The devil is bound. It's very much like the queen bee and then the worker bees. The minions are the worker bees. The queen bee is very stationary and protected, right? The devil's a fallen angel if you understand the scripture. So he has people doing his work and energies doing his work. And oh my God, were her and the karmic working. They were working. But what I don't think even the karmic realized is the Jezebel energy. Okay, so it's not just assigned to women. My dad certainly had it. Jezebel is a territorial spirit that does not inhabit the body. It talks about spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms, and Jezebel is one of those, along with Leviathan, Python, and others. Jezebel directs earthly demons to bring damage and destruction to God's people. Jezebel's agenda is more extensive than just ungodly control and manipulation. Okay? So this is essentially how people describe it. A wicked spirit that has roamed the earth for thousands of years, seeking someone to entice into sin. Jezebel is more than a spirit of control and manipulation than many make it out to be. Jezebel is a spirit of seduction that works to woo people into immorality and adultery. Jezebel seduces your will through the lust of the flesh to carry out her plan to kill, steal, and destroy. And so this is so interesting to me. In the word, we hear that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So here's what was killed, stolen, and destroyed. my divine counterpart relationship. I had a relationship with this person and we were happy for a long time. I thought it was unhealthy, needed some balancing. Could it be fixed? Probably. Sure, there were things wrong. Absolutely. Now I feel like she's a sociopath. Okay. I've made a lot of jumps in the last couple of years, but what I will say is for a time it was good. Someone came in and saw it and wanted that, but she also wanted that to be wanted. She dangled it out like red meat. Okay. And what was killed was really her purpose too. She thought it was about a relationship. She doesn't realize that it put her into spiritual jail and isolation. So many things that I can't even get into on this video. Let's get back to the 12 signs or indicators of a Jezebel spirit at work. I want you to know about this so that you can pay attention and see if maybe the karmic may have a Jezebel spirit, or if you've noticed anybody in your life or family that may have be dealing with this. Is it you? This is just something to think about. We're not all the boogeymen, but we all have the possibility to have love and hate in us. We all have the possibility to pull somebody out of a car or to murder somebody. That is within every human, that duality. And so it's important to understand that sometimes we have different things attaching, and this is one of them. People influenced by the Jezebel spirit have fear issues of rejection. They control others so that they will not have to be hurt. Generally, there is a history of trauma or abuse. I'll leave that there. I know her history even more than she says. I know it. So, 2, they target the headship. They offer free help to their top assistant because they want their protection. It hides from the leader's view but manifests in front of others. So she had set her sights on a karmic, and she felt that that karmic was like the top of the pops and she wanted to have her, and so she went into that direction. Also, the karmic's Jezebel spirit was like, oh, this union looks so delicious, I'd like to snack on it. Just like Carol Baskins had her husband snack. Real talk, guys. 3, they make commitments and promises quickly and use recommendations from others to impress people. So she was all about, there was covert narcissism here as well, but she was all about how things looked and how things appeared and being seen as something valued. So she utilized the relationship that I cultivated with her, and she hung it up and said, look at this, look how valued I am. Don't you want to value me? Get in line, folks, right? 4, they seem super spiritual in an exaggerated way to gain acceptance and attention. They have their own agenda. They're looking for disciples of their own. They whine until they get their way. She would talk to me all the time. Now, I'm going to make another video about covert narcissism in the workplace using her life as an example, but she would talk to me all the time, or my observations about her life more accurately. But she would talk to me all the time about how she loved all of the attention that she was getting in the office. She loved people coming to her and asking her questions. Where did she learn this spiritual knowledge? Did she spend years cultivating it? Did she read books? Did she invest in meditation? Did she buy crystals? She did not a damn thing. What she did was she listened to me talk ad nauseum as I was developing my skill set and practicing my work, and she just siphoned the energy. It was like identity theft. She even called me one time crying because she was aware, maybe a lucid moment when the demons had released her for a few, and she was aware, and she was like, I just feel guilty because I don't even feel like this is really something I even believe in. Yeah, homie, it wasn't anything you believed in, because if it was, you would not have conducted yourself the way you did. So she liked it, though. She kept it, even though she knew that she thought it was a balderdash and hogwash. She kept it because it brought her attention. Now, there is some covert narcissism there. She loved the attention. She loved to be seen as the authority. She loved that these Southern women whose husbands told them how to vote and who never had thought outside of Jesus on Sunday and at Christmas time were coming to her and asking her about angel cards. And when I tell you, the first time I told her about me talking about angels, she looked at me and literally told me that I was insane. So I love that people can get into spirituality and evolve with it, but she certainly used it for a ploy. It wasn't really her plan, and it wasn't anything she had invested into. 5, they isolate and pit people against each other privately and individually behind closed doors. This was her favorite. Now, this is triangulation if we're dealing with narcissistic behavior. So in the spirit realm, the word for, I believe, narcissist is Jezebel spirit, which men and women can have, and men and women can be both malignant and covert narcissists. You guys see? Same. We're going to connect these metaphysical dots, guys. So I'm just teaching it to you the way I learned it in a good old Bible thumping, and I'm going to transfer it over to popular American psychology as well as now fact-based. I mean, it might be the buzzword. Pitting people against each other privately and individually behind closed doors. So that triangulation that is done. So what she would do, I'm going to give you an example in my case, is that if she didn't feel like she was getting enough supply and energy from the person she was trying to, the new supply she was trying to like condition, she didn't realize she was dealing with malignant narc. This was a hilarious, it was funny watching it. I was like, let's see how this goes. She didn't realize what she was dealing with. And so she would not get the attention she wanted because that malignant narc was popular to her, remember? And she has issues with popularity, issues with trauma from high school, just all that stuff, right? So she was like, oh, I'm going to do this and relive my teens when I'm 40. So that's the energy that she did there. So what happened was she would call me or text me and give me a love bomby kind of note. You're the best person in the world. No one's like you. Other people don't understand what loyalty is. Just all this garbage. And it's so funny. One of the last things she said to me was, I'm a perfectly imperfect person. And I was like, what is this gobbledygook? What are you even talking about? She would do all of that, and I just ate it up because I loved her, and I was like, yes, real friends are friends, and friends are friendly. Meanwhile, what it was is that Tinsley wasn't giving her the attention that she needed, and so she was just trying to get it from me, and then she would throw me in Tinsley's face, and then throw Tinsley in my face all the time. She would tell me how much better she was than me, how sweet she was, how good of a friend she was, but she also knew that she wasn't good. Another video coming up about which law of the 48 laws of power she did not listen to that got her in that situation. So that triangulation is something they do, is also something narcissists do. They play the victim. They're never wrong. They blame everyone else. They play on compassion and block discernment. I spoke into her life about what she was about to get into. She didn't listen to me. She didn't believe me. And so, as my mama says, he who does not hear will feel, and she is feeling now. So she blocked her discernment, and she definitely never takes blame. She shifts blame. I was watching an interview with Casey Anthony, and they were dissecting the sociopathy of her, and what I noticed was like where the ball was dropped was with her parents. Maybe Casey Anthony in and of herself is a sociopath. I'm not blaming George and Cindy completely, but what I am saying is that they didn't hold her accountable even in the interviews, and there was this entitlement. And I remember the last like few months dealing with my counterpart, and what a brat and what an asshole. Can I say it? She was just absolutely low class, and I was like, who is this person? And what was happening is that all of her narcissism was just being completely unmasked. My eyes, the Bible says, let he who has eyes see, right? And who has ears hear. And I heard and saw the truth of who she was. She told me even in her own language the whole week that we were there together. And so what I will tell you is I thought it was interesting, but I thought about her parental dynamic, and I thought, no one's ever held her accountable. When interventions were done, or when other family members would speak out about terrible behavior, or even her own son would address things that were out of control, she just would shift blame, shut everybody down, and have like a pity party, because narcissists and people with Jezebel spirits don't take accountability. They use false humility and feel entitled or owed to something. This false humility speaks to her true covert narc energy. She absolutely was always like, I'm just a person and I don't judge people. Hilarious, huge lie. Not true at all. Number 8, they're not accountable to anyone and often accuse others of being a Jezebel. There is one comment she made to me last holiday season where I was talking to her about a situation I had going on, because she was my best friend. We used to pop things back and forth and bounce things off of each other. And she said to me, and it sliced through me, you get into people's heads. Excuse me? Pardon me, I said. And I knew that it was that her karmic had gotten to her head, a Scorpio karmic. Y'all know how Scorpio karmics can be. I have a video about that just in case you don't. Please check it out. But I will tell you, it was such a powerful lesson to me. And I thought, what is this projection? I was like, hello, projection. My name is Monette. Nice to meet you. This is not the truth. The truth is you are projecting because you're being defensive because you're doing some wildness, okay? They look, number 9, they look for others who are hurt and wounded to mentor them. The reason she loved the karmic so much with the Jezebel spirit and the covert narcissistic energy is because she was claiming, she didn't realize she was dealing with a malignant narc who was more crafty, that she was very mentally not well and whatever, and would have come-aparts. They had come-aparts at their desk, and they just cry and shudder, and then found themselves in the supply closet, healing each other. And so that was the energy. She loved being in control. She loved being the mentor, which there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a good spiritual teacher, and I think that if she were ever to balance herself, she could be, but I don't trust her for as far as I could even look at her her or throw her. But I think she had powers. That's why I was attracted. I thought she was a good human that was gonna figure life out. And in fact, that was not true. But what I will say is she liked that. She liked being the mentor. Remember what I said about liking the energy coming in from other people, okay? And them asking for her and feeling powerful and sucking everybody's energy. Very vampire, vampiric. Also, they accuse people falsely. Number 10. 11, they operate with insecurity. Okay, so everything in her life was like moved from that needle of like, I don't feel secure enough, there isn't enough, very lack poverty consciousness driven. So that's something to pay attention to. If someone has a lack or poverty consciousness, they will mostly feel like there's not enough. That's also where 5 of Wands energy comes in, which is fear, competition, jealousy, hate, or strife. That drama. Narcissists use it to keep you feeling on the edge and never safe in the relationship. People with a Jezebel spirit do the same, and it means that they're able to provide for themselves what they perceive as security. Her mother did it within her dynamics of relationships with men because for financial things and for a home, root chakra issues were her mother's issues. There was no balance with the root chakra, so she didn't feel safe. So she created false security through men, which is something she passed down to her daughter, and her daughter does it in multiple relationships, men, women, it doesn't matter. They initiate witchcraft prayers based on selfish motivation. My counterpart is essentially a sorcerer of sorts, a sexual sorcerer. She could do anything she wanted to do, but it's negative and it always kicks back terrible karma for her, and she had no idea how she was. I feel the part of me that used to love and care for this person is like, what a mess. What a mess. Not what a mess she is, what a mess she made. We all have the ability to be a mess. I have been a mess. I'm a mess in my own ways sometimes too. But there's something about what she did with the sexual energy, and she was having financial money. She had money and stuff, and she was like hiding things and lying. It was just a lot, y'all. Okay, so here are 6 signs just really quickly that a Jezebel is directing attacks at you, or that you're under an issue, an energy of covert narcissism. You become fearful. 2, you isolate yourself more. 3, you experience unreasonable exhaustion. I almost bled to death last year, but I was also exhausted. I'm starting to feel like myself in the last month. Just in the last month, I'm starting to be like, I'm back and better than ever. And I actually believe that, but I didn't realize how much she was draining me. And it was her and her partner. They were both draining me, even though me and her partner had limited interactions. A video coming up about that. It was so exhausting for me. 4, your thoughts and dreams become sexually perverse. I found myself having a lot of explored energy. Now, I'm in my own self very sexual. I totally own that. I'm a bisexual woman. There is nothing that's traditional really about who I am or how I express myself. But I found myself having discussions with her and having moments and feeling a lot of ways. And I was like, where is this coming from? There was one thing specifically that came through. It was very interesting that they later showed me directly in her energy as she tried to hustle me. Interesting. 5, strange and prolonged illnesses hinder you. My stomach last year was a thing. Not an issue this year now that she's out of my life. Imagine that. 6, freak accidents become commonplace. This is why I detached from the situation. The last time I was driving home, I was in a rented vehicle. And I was driving home and I had to pull over and get a hotel room. I have driven all over this fine country of ours. I never had that issue. What happens that I notice when narcissistic relationships are coming to an end for me, my angels, because I'm super stubborn, a fixed sign of Leo with Taurus moon, super fixed energy. I hold on to things far past their expiration date. They wanted me away from her and they made it more and more difficult. By the last time I went, I had to get a ride. It was so difficult, but I kept being stubborn because, you know, hashtag me, Leo season. And so I remember calling a good human friend of mine, a good human, oh my god, and I was like, girl, I think I'm gonna have to get a hotel room. I called my mom and I just let them know, talked to my life partner, my husband, and I was like, I can't do this. And he was kind of making fun of me. He's like, girl, are you okay, babe? What's really good? And it was because I had a vision of an accident. Well, the next morning I get up and I had a vision of a truck overturned and I saw exactly that. Took a picture of it. I have the picture still, sent it to my good human, and I was like, you know what? My instincts were right. But what it is that the universe is making it harder and harder for us to physically be around each other because our vibrations were totally out of alignment. She had totally gone to the dark side. She had sold her soul. She had committed herself fully to her debauchery, and she was loving it. I'm loving it. And my angels were like, girl, this is not for you anymore. So freak accidents happen, so pay attention. I remember leaving a malignant narcissist and going to see a recital that I had set up because I had encouraged her to get her kid in gymnastics, and me and my mom walked in and my mom fell on one of the mats. She broke her arm, ended up having a heart attack and being in the hospital for a few days. That malignant narcissist, who had no value of time, hadn't even showed up. She showed up as the ambulance was taking my mom away. We were there there before her, but my angels and my ancestors were like, get away from this girl. And so, and I got into a car accident like right before that had happened. So I just wasn't listening. And then after it happened with my mom, I was like, bye, Felicia. I get it. I can't be around you because you are now associated with calamity for me. And I knew that if I physically was having anxiety driving a route that I've driven hundreds of times, then there was something else going on. So pay attention. It was demonic energy. That's what was going on. It was demons. It was Satan. It was Satan that was inhabiting her energy. But also, listen, it's not just for us to like cast her aside and say, well, she's irredeemable. No, she can find God. She can find her way back if she ever knew him. She saw him once, she said, when she was younger. I think that's probably why her weight was so heavy on this earth, because she did know what it was like in afterlife. She had a near-death experience as a child, and I think that it really changed her. And unfortunately, she's going to have to fix that for herself. But what I do know, and she's going to have to work through it. I was able to work through the curse of my dad's Jezebel spirit and how it expressed itself in me, which was me getting into these very codependent and unhealthy, unbalanced relationships. And I did it through being in a relationship with her. She's going to have to figure out how to exorcise those demons from her mama. Her mama gave her a heads up. Her mama showed up on the couch when I was there and was like, now you're going to meet my daughter, which was, I thought, fascinating. It was fascinating. Her mom was absolutely gorgeous, but she absolutely knew that what I was going to go through was going to be hell. And I guess in some way she was saying like, help her. That's what I think was happening. I was like, why would you talk to me? Why not just whisper to her? You're sitting on the couch with her, talk to her. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's talking to her now. I pray she is. I pray that she is. I pray for her that she gets what she needs, but that's not my business. I had to extract myself because it was draining my life. And Divine Feminines, if you're watching, or if you just come across this video randomly, you're not so much into spirituality or Christianity or metaphysical energy, you've got one of these covert narcs that are hoovering you or making these plays and love bombing you. Pay attention. There might be some other lower vibrational entities attached. And if you feel a need to repel yourself sexually, there's a reason for that. It's the antithesis of what I wanted to do, but I did it for my survival. And now I totally understand it. And I couldn't be more grateful. It's like, namaste, angels. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, universe, source. Y'all saved me. And I get it. I really get it now. And now I get to teach about it here. And I can do it clearly because I'm not connected in that way. Not that way, you know? All right, guys. So glad to share some energy with you. Come back next time. We'll continue to slay the demons and the dragons. Maybe we won't slay the dragons. Let's ride the dragons and slay the demons. But most importantly, we're going to continue to evolve together.